Hello, hello, hello. So, next up in our series on on misinformation and disinformation, we're coming to the chapter of propaganda. So, state-sponsored propaganda, that's like your Russian media coverage on Ukraine, RT News. What can I say? Who hasn't seen RT News? RT News is this like English. It's Russian and Sputnik, and it's like this English-based medium. And they blocked it after the Ukraine war, but like only on some mediums, not like on the internet. Like you can still find it on the internet. You can't find it on YouTube, but it's very unsophisticated. I know the Russians can be very sophisticated in certain areas of misinformation and disinformation, but that's more for like electoral interference, like sowing doubt, like making people paranoid against the system, but like to drum up support for something, they're not as good at that. However, the reason for existence of RT News is to basically entertain pro-Russian white people in the West. 45-year-old white guys who are kind of racist, basically to tell them a good story that their values will be held sacred for the next 1,000 years in an eternal Reich, of good value dominance and, Judeo-Christian traditions. That's what RT is for. It's to create this narrative and to split that part of the population off from, the main body politic of Western governments. That's why, there's Russian interference in almost every Western country, and there's a huge amount of Russian interference in Africa as well. So RT, I've read one or two RT News articles that were good. Sputnik's not good at all. I read it once, and I was just geez, this is nonsense. Sputnik reminds me of Telesur. Telesur is the Venezuelan state propaganda channel. That is shame. Telesur is actually so sad. Telesur is so little money. They just take Associated Press things and they copy and paste it. And now and then they don't really have their own journalists. They're too poor. All this oil. I mean, now it's the oil money has run out. So this thing's on life support. Sputnik was kind of the same. It's Sputnik has money, but it's just so blunt and awkward. You have to be extremely stupid to not know it's propaganda. RT is more sophisticated. They do have some nice programs and articles. I watched at one stage. I did watch some of Max Kaiser's stuff. Max Kaiser is a very interesting guy. It's a bit crazy, but he's still interesting. However, I just use RT to basically see what the Russian state's up to, in the sense that what would they like to have us think? Because that's how you can tell. That's how you kind of know. It's you will never know exactly what's going on because the information is controlled. But the narrative that's presented, you can tell by the narrative, the way the narrative is presented, and about what what's really important. Okay, and that way, if you then read other things as well, you will have a much better idea what's going on in Russia and in occupied Ukraine. So that's why I do have a look at RT now and then. They actually have very good nature programs, by the way. I watched a nature program about Lake Baikal, and it was very good. They had it was quite cool. It was this grandmother. It was about this grandmother skating on the lake when it was frozen. And she was so old. She was 95 or something. And she's just skating there when it's frozen up. And she's she's a boyar. She just lives in this house made of logs next to the lake. So the nature and the cultural documentaries are cool, but the news is just they could prefer a huge bag of salt. COVID success stories, so some people make COVID-19 success stories to basically hide away the mess that they have made in so many aspects of handling the disease or the virus. They have to, or else they would just lose support. So, or they would lose face. So there was a lot of COVID-19 success stories that was super embellished and in many cases just spurious, there's very few things that you can do against the virus. North Korean state media, I'm not even going to talk about that because that should be obvious to a toddler. Government controlled propaganda in Myanmar, also one of the, good propaganda channels in the world because it's the government's fighting I think they're fighting 5 different rebel armies. So you have to have this is where you need war propaganda. The UK had propaganda in World War II. They had to, because they were fighting the Nazis, and the Nazis were very strong. At one stage, it looked like they would actually invade the UK. But the UK won in the Battle of Britain. But you have to have you need to in the state Myanmar is in now, a state of they may collapse within the next couple of years. You do need propaganda, strong propaganda to keep the state together. I'm not saying propaganda is a good thing. You shouldn't have propaganda, but rather be in a state where propaganda isn't necessary. So Myanmar, for example, if they just treated their population with some respect, they didn't need to lie to them. Now they have to lie to them every day, every minute, because they messed up. Iran's news coverage of protests. If you want to know what's going on in Iran, watch Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera does a pretty good job of covering Iran. And Iran, I feel sorry for them. Their propaganda is pretty clumsy. There is one guy, it's this professor, I forgot his name, maybe it's better, else he'll maybe sue me. But this guy that Al Jazeera usually brings in as a correspondent, not a correspondent, as a panelist for Iran when they do a program on Iran. The guy is, not only is he biased, he's so slanted that it's basically awkward and essentially incompetent. The guy's got a PhD, but he does a very bad job of communication. He can't win an argument convincingly because he needs to rely on lies. Once again, Speak the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Like that's the thing, you know. Like people get caught up in these lies, and then they need propaganda to try to get out of it. Next up, ideological spin. So like that's still part of like propaganda. Here we have like climate skepticism. So Fox News, InfoWars, these guys they've got this paranoia that like if anything is done against global warming, they will lose money. Something like they will just become poorer, and yeah, that's just the idea they have. Like I don't know who gave. I want to investigate this because it's just interesting. Like, but yeah, put the ideological spin on climate skepticism. Immigration as a security threat. Like, yeah, so immigration is often viewed through the lens of security. Like, because people quite often they don't just want like, you know, people speaking a foreign language in their country. Okay, I can understand that. People are scared of new things. You know, I eat adventurous, but I don't eat that adventurous. For example, when I dine out, like some food I'm scared of. You know, I don't want to eat like some herring from some crazy East European country. It will intimidate me. Just like, so I can understand, like, you know, how people can be intimidated by foreigners. But the fact of the matter is, look at statistics. What do foreigners bring to the country? Do they bring crime? Yes or no? If yes, by what percentage? What percentage of crime do they bring? What percentage of them are criminals? Like, of those, what kind of crimes do they commit? Like, let's say theft. Okay, theft. What percentage of them do theft? Is it like 80%? Okay, good. Bring percentages. If you want to see if it's propaganda or not against immigrants, just go and look. Go ask for statistics, because if you're saying that this is a problem, it's surely yeah. Then show us the facts and the figures. You know, like, for example, there's massive xenophobia in South Africa. The fact is that only 1% of the South African prison population are foreigners. That's a fact. Like, you know, so, and then when you present it to people, you know, to the xenophobic people, they get so upset. This is usually what happens when you confront someone, like a propaganda person, with the facts. They get very upset because you just like destroyed their argument. Like, they constructed this thing, and if you have like an irrefutable fact, like here is a statistic from the South African jail, bam, you know, like they can't argue against it. So also, you know, when like someone from a neutral channel, like, you know, Al Jazeera, that person is not going to, if they report something or you know, like if they give information and you come with an assumption and you give them facts, you know, that prove them wrong, they're not going to get angry at you. They're not. They're going to ask you, where did you get this? Like, would you mind if I take a look? I would like to investigate. Because now they have to double check their work. That's why they're not getting angry. They're like more concerned because they have to double check their work. The propaganda guy gets angry because he has nothing to fall back on. Like, you have now destroyed his narrative. So, like, this is another way of seeing if something is propaganda, is if you start pushing that narrative, that construct, and people are getting like angry, that's propaganda. Gun rights advocacy, yes. This is like another thing that's like quite often, under the realm of propaganda. Gun rights essentially, look, I'm pro-gun. I don't see, like, guns don't kill people. People kill people. Like, so. Well, yeah, I'm from South Africa. For us, guns are normal. Like, maybe if you're European, you'll disagree, but like, it's still like guns should still be controlled. You shouldn't just like get a machine gun. That's ridiculous. Like, unless you are a farmer on some isolated borderland, yes, and there's like drug cartels in your area or something like that. Sure, then like. I think you should have a machine gun, because the guys crossing your land will also have heavy munitions. So then, yeah, you should have heavy munitions, but like under any other circumstances, for someone to argue to me that you need more than a hunting rifle and a 9mm for self-defense is just ridiculous. It's just like someone who's like, I don't know, like probably just paranoid that they'll be invaded by a foreign country, and they think that with their little AR-13 they can shoot down a jet aircraft. It's not going to work. But this is like to maintain this fear, this like little house that they built. They need to put like a spin on it. They have to like have their pro-gun advocacy groups. Like, it's not about the weapon, actually. It's about being safe psychologically. That's why you have a gun lobby group. That's why you have pro-gun propaganda. Safety of the mind. Yes, and one-sided election coverage. So yeah, you see that in many places in the world. Like, for a long time in South Africa, it stopped now. Yeah, it stopped about 10-15 years ago. The local broadcasting commission was like very pro-ruling party. Like, they would give much more coverage to the ruling party than the other party, simply under the excuse of like, oh, okay, like, but they've got more support. Like, we should support a party that's got more support, or we should like cover a party that's got more support. There's many places like that. Once again, like, yeah, if something gets so much attention, like, if it's one-sided, whenever something is one-sided, like, you must ask yourself, what's going on here? Why aren't there multiple sides? There are always multiple sides. Like, in any, like, if you do any scientific research, you look at it from multiple sides. You have to. Like, that's how you prove something. The police will do it. If the police crack a case, they look at it from multiple angles. The victim angle, the perpetrator angle, like the bystander angle, the motive angle, like, whatever. You have to look at it from different angles. And if there's one angle, ask yourself why. Okay, next up, let's get to my favorite, conspiracy theories. So, yeah, conspiracy theories, they make unsupported claims. Like, for example, the moon landing was staged. Okay, they will just claim it was fake. Then there will be 9/11 jet fuel conspiracies, claims that the jet fuel couldn't melt steel beams. Yeah. Sometimes you just wonder, like, jet fuel. Like, I don't know who of you ever, like, lit petrol on fire. I'm an ardent barbecue guy, and once I had some wood A couple of times I lit wood using gasoline, which was like wet. It was like a bit of a wet wood. And yeah, even if you put a very small, you put a quarter of a cup of petrol on a fire, on wood, and then you take matches like that, and you balance it on the side, that like the matches off with the brown phosphorus like lining, and then you balance the match like that, and you shoot the match with your finger, like about from 2 meters away, into the fire, and because it's going to be a small explosion, and that's motor vehicle fuel that burns like that. That's like a motor vehicle fuel. Jet fuel is highly energetic. So now, these people can't believe that this highly energetic, one of the most energy dense chemicals created by man, can't burn steel, really. But in any case, this is like one thing. JFK assassination cover-up, another conspiracy theory. Here's my favorite, COVID-19 population control theory. What I like about conspiracy theories is how easy it is to disprove it. Like, for example, one of the first questions I would ask, like, a population control theory person is like, well, if it's population control, why, like, how do the people who want to control the population, how do they not get sick? Usually it's like, it's based, if like the person who believes in it haven't thought about it so much, they will believe it's like a race-based one. Like, oh, okay, it's the Americans invented it to cull the African and Asian populations, or oh, the Chinese invented it to cull the American and African populations. Okay, fine, but then how did like let's say the Americans did it? How did they do it? Like, did they they all have like anti-vaccination things, so they couldn't get the virus? Like, how come we missed the event where 400 million Americans were inoculated with the antibody before they spread this bioweapon across the rest of the world? And they can't answer that. Or like basically, you can just say like, okay, well, you can ask them why would they want to control the population? Like, and then you can just ask them, they will say, oh, okay, like something, so they can make more money. And I'm like, yeah, but how can they make more, why can't they make more money with the current population? The basic law of economics state that like, money plus population, that's like, the economy. And they never have any good question, they never have any good answers for this. However, like, remember with conspiracy theorists that you should approach these people with empathy and respect, because they are victims. They are people who just have a certain state of mind, a certain set of beliefs, which they may never deviate from. Okay, so like, I'm not going to say it's a mental disease or something, but like, scientifically it's proven that if you believe in one conspiracy theory, you believe on average in 4 additional conspiracy theories. It doesn't matter what they are. So look, some conspiracy, and not all conspiracy theories are equal. Like, a conspiracy theory, like if the earth is flat, is kind of harmless. If you say 5G causes cancer, that's kind of harmless. Like, the adherents of those conspiracy theories don't cause any harm. But if you say, like, 9/11 was an inside job, you know, that can foment far-right hate groups. If you say the Chinese used COVID as a bioweapon, that will foment anti-Chinese hatred. And, you know, like, this is something that is unacceptable. So if you know someone like that, you need to devise a strategy about bringing them back from these extremist beliefs, like get them to believe in something else, less malicious, like God, like, or whatever. But like, you need to like approach them with empathy, definitely, because like they just think differently. And you don't want to, if you're going to alienate them or push them too hard in any way, they're just going to double down, like then truly believing that, okay, here is an agent trying to convince me that I'm wrong, he must be in on the conspiracy. So just be careful. Pseudo documentaries. Oh my word! Yeah, I was there, like guilty as charged. I unfortunately watched some. Luckily just one. I watched Zeitgeist. Oh Jesus, what like a piece of shit. Like I was pretty young when I watched it. I think I was like 22. So I didn't really know a lot. So I just watched it and I just assumed it was correct. But then as I got older and I checked some of the stuff, I was like, what? I believed in this stuff? Really? No. Like, but it happens, you know, like, so let's look at some of these documentaries you should look out for, apart from Zeitgeist, which is horrible. Fall of the Cabal, it's about QAnon, don't watch that. American Moon, claiming the moon landing was staged, don't watch that. The Great Reset, a documentary misrepresenting economic policy. Oh yeah, I watched The Great Reset. It's like, I remember now The Great Reset. It's kind of, they lure you in. They lure you in with this like, okay, watch the documentary, but be careful. They lure you in with like some ideas, but all of it's basically nonsense. Like they don't know how the economy works. Like, but they plant ideas in your head. The Great Reset, I would say, is one of the better ones. Like, in the sense that the person who made this conspiracy thing know how to manipulate people. Then They Live is a conspiracy about aliens. Okay. And Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. Oh my word, yeah. Alleged secret rituals amongst political elites. Yeah, alien conspiracy theorists are also harmless. Like they don't like pose a threat to us, to anyone. Like, I mean, what, are they going to bomb something? No, but like if you look at this, like Dark Secrets Inside the Bohemian Grove, here you'll get some nutcase, like, who is, I don't know, who's having like a psychotic episode, may make a bomb and put it somewhere. So, you know, like, movies like this is dangerous. And like, you know, they should be fought at. Okay, number 9. Echo chambers and filter bubbles. Confirmation bias content. Okay, so this is like just confirmation bias is just to make you believe what you already want to believe. Like most of us are like that. Anti-mask Facebook groups, that was a big one. Crypto enthusiast forums. Yeah, have you noticed these crypto forums? Like, it's just always this, like, the pictures of these, like, crazy German supercars and these homes. And, like, look, money can grow on average no faster than 7% a year. Globally. So, anything more than that is kind of a scam. Unless you're like into finance and you're really, really, really experienced and really, really smart and licensed up, and you make a bet or you have a theory and luck is on your side. That's like literally the only way, like, you can make money from this. Like, for the rest, it's just dodgy. Flat Earth Facebook pages. I would say these things are just pretty, it's an echo chamber, but like, it's just pretty to look at. Like, because the Flat Earth people come up with all of this art and stuff like that, which is quite entertaining. But yeah, once again, it's an echo chamber. And then, as I said earlier, with the other stuff, like, essentially, once you believe in one conspiracy theory, you believe in multiple conspiracy theories. So the problem is that although, like, there's no problem with, let's say, an alien or a moon landing or a flat Earth conspiracy theorist, they're harmless people. It's like a comorbidity. Okay, so you have this, like, what's your thoughts on 9/11? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, and if you do have thoughts, are you going to do something about it? Like, are you going to go on a tiki torch march or something like that? People should be, we should, like, take care after each other to make sure, people don't get alienated from society, because, like, that's how these incels and people just congregate and, like, cause general nonsense. Vaccine misinformation channels on Telegram. There's a lot of bad stuff happening on Telegram, and this vaccine misinformation, I couldn't believe it. Like, when this vaccine misinformation first came out, it was about 2015, and people started getting, what's that common disease, like mumps or something? I think it was mumps. And I was just like, what? Mumps? Like, I thought they eradicated it. And yeah, it's just, this is pernicious. This is probably the most dangerous group of people, are the anti-vaxxers. And you can send me death threats, I don't care, but this is the truth. Like, not getting vaccinations is a dangerous business. Like, if you get polio, you can get very, very sick. Very sick. Like, polio is no joke. And it's not just polio, there's shitloads of vaccinations. Like, you thinking COVID's like a big vaccination issue. It's not. It's like, there's a lot of other stuff that is very dangerous. And anti-vax people, that should almost be criminal. I think it should be criminalized, because this can destabilize society. Like, I am all for living well and living naturally and, eating healthy food, doing exercise, doing swimming, doing yoga, whatever. That's cool stuff. Doing parkour or Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Live a healthy life, play some tennis, do jogging, drink lots of water, drink lots of herbal tea. but, you know, anti-vaccination theories, really? Do you want to, it's one thing if you endanger yourself, but to endanger the life of your kids and other people's kids is criminal. Telegram, oh my word. So, selective exposure. Curated Spotify podcasts. Podcasts suggested based on previous listening that reinforce user beliefs. So yeah, basically these things, once again, it's an echo chamber. So this is the problem, like with the algorithms, like you get it a bit in YouTube, but it's mostly, yeah, it's TikTok, I think, can get very bad. It's got a good like algorithm, but the problem is like if you're into bad stuff, then quickly you're flooded with it, and this is where the echo chamber thing comes in. Like and once you're down, I think, you know, there's no better analogy for a rabbit hole than an echo chamber. Is once you're in there, it's a cult. It's how do you get out of it? Like you have to do so much like deprogramming from your mind, you know, to like basically to get there back out. It's very difficult. Don't go there. Amazon book recommendations. Yeah, this is also, I've noticed this myself because I have Audible, which is like an Amazon product, and essentially, yes, like at one stage I went through a phase of books I was reading, and then suddenly, yeah, I was reading one or two like right-leaning books, and then suddenly I got suggested way more right-wing books than I was comfortable with. And I was like, oops. And then luckily I could, yeah, I also had like buyer's regret with the book. So I just, Amazon can do that for you, customer services. So I just sent them a mail and I just told them, look, I don't want this because it's messing up my algorithm. Can you please remove, I don't want the money back. You don't need to give me the credit back. Just remove this book from my library so my algorithm can be reset, which they did. And now it's fine again. But yeah, just be careful. Like, you know, you buy, like, you start off with like Amazon Kindle or like Audible like me, and then the next moment you may have a whole bunch of books all about the same thing, and a lot of them may be nonsense. Because look, Jeff Bezos just wants to make money. He's not going to, you know, he's not going to go through every book, like, because it's freedom of speech, right? Like, you know, Amazon lives in or exists in a country of the First Amendment. And, you know, he's not going to go, Jeff Bezos is not every book to make sure that it's ethical and correct. It's not going to happen, ever. So it's up to you to make sure you don't pollute your mind with these things, and also to keep an eye out on your kids, you know, what your kids are reading, and like even your friends, because like I have some friends now who basically got lost in these like conspiracy theories, and they just can't get out of it. Like freaking, they will go and they'll find a book, and then the next book, and yeah, and that brings me to Reddit, political subreddits. So yeah, like you can be in a Reddit where there's no more dissent, there's no more disagreements. And then the next thing you know, it's a freaking terrorism Reddit, you know, with coded language and dog whistles and what have you. And it's very easy to get trapped there. Like I want to say Reddit's like a dangerous platform, but like Reddit reminds me a bit of like 4chan and 8chan, you know, like you get strange stuff in there. Like, so yeah, just beware of that. Try to be, try to be in a balanced group, you know, like try to have like balanced information. Next up, pseudoscience. Yes, our great friend Sue and pseudoscience. False or unverified scientific claims. So yeah, that's like COVID-19 pandemic theories. There's like so many of them. Like claiming the pandemic was planned without any evidence. Yeah, you see, so this is what's the most interesting for me about like these about pseudoscience is that there's a whole bunch of theories, okay, and okay, well, besides the fact that they can't be proved, one adherent will have many theories. So, like, it's a bit strange because usually, like, let's say you're a math professor or a scientist, or you're trying to prove some, you're studying like molecular biology, and you're trying to prove some form of new metabolism or something in a cell. You'll have one theory, not four. So, you know, it's just interesting that people with so little proof have so many theories, which basically indicates that it's a belief system. And this is why I say treat these people with empathy and respect, because it's essentially like you're talking to a religious person. Like, yeah, it's you can't just like grab them, you know, like red pill, blue pill. They will freak out. You know, they'll get they won't get a stroke. It's like a, you know, it's like just a pattern of speech. But like they'll not react very well. So, like, yeah, you need to talk well with them to get them out of this, like, you know, state that they're in. Okay, so yeah, pseudoscience, we did the pandemic. Vibrational healing claims that vibrational energy can cure diseases without scientific basis. Homeopathy as a cure-all, okay, yeah, that's been debunked so many times, yet people still believe in it. Like, yeah, and then what's sad for me about homeopathy is that I know, like, the people who believe in homeopathy that I know are such great people, because they want to live well, they want to have a nice life, you know, and quite often they are sick. They have some like form of chronic illness, and they just want to get better. And unfortunately now they believe in this homeopathy, and I think homeopathy is harmless in the sense that, look, it's not like there's mercury in the products or something, hopefully, but the problem is it's expensive. It's really, like, some of these things are retardedly expensive. And then, like, these people who are sick would have been better off saving this money to use it in a real hospital when they get more sick. And I know this is dark and, you know, unpleasant to talk about, but yeah, this is what's annoying about homeopathy. And even more annoying are the people like Alex Jones who promote it, who's like, yeah, you should drink this and it's going to give you all this crazy energy, you know, which is just nonsense. Some people still believe in telepathy. This, however, is also just, you know, telepathy is harmless. It's like astrology, astrology or something. It's like not, It's just cute. It's not going to harm anyone. Anti-aging miracles, on the other hand, does. Like, also, once again, not because there's maybe mercury in the ointment, but because it's expensive. And you will like let's say someone who's concerned about their aging, will typically be someone who's supposed to be saving heavily for their retirement. And now you're like freaking trying to steal away some of their retirement money for a false promise of like not making them age, or making them age 1% less bad, which is basically negligible. Fake health information, false claims about fluoride. Okay, let's get that. Theories that fluoride in water is harmful or used for mind control. Yeah, oh my word. I've had this fluoride like thing so many times, it's just not funny. Yes, getting back to pseudoscience, COVID vaccine alters DNA, absolute nonsense. Where's the science? And then remember, when people will ask you, or you'll ask people for scientific proof, then they'll give you some science. But they need to give you concrete science, something that was done in a lab, like in Harvard or something, something like that. They can't just give you like some nonsense, a book that was written in 1975. Like, they have to like give you some like real evidence, from a laboratory. Like the things they experiment must be repeatable. That's the definition of an experiment. Experiment is repeatable and you get the same results. That's how it works. So, yeah, sure. If you want to tell me that like fluoride's bad for you or can control your mind, show me a study, a good study, not something from some university that doesn't exist. I want to see real proof. And I know there's this stupid meme on the internet, like with the soy jack, like where this chat says something and then the soy jack's like, oh, proof. Like, no, look, it's, like anyone can ask for proof, basically if the police accuse you of murder, you need to ask them for proof. Or else you're going to go away to jail. So, proof is important. Hence the expression, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So funny, I had a conversation about pudding with someone earlier today, you won't believe it. But like, in any case, yeah, proof is important, and they do need to provide proof. Like, there's this super weird concept that like came into reality the last 4 or 5 years, that now suddenly you don't need proof to make a statement. I don't want to say we have regressed into the Middle Ages, because that would be nonsense. What is apparent for me though is that we have like been so affected by this misinformation and disinformation that we are now no longer to make empirical based decisions. Like, we have been compromised, and that's why we should like turn back and go back to the scientific method. Like, how do we formulate ideas, how do we test ideas, these kinds of things. Like, because like where we are right now is just ridiculous. We need to set back the dial a bit. But yes, I think I'm going to go for a coffee made from water which doesn't have fluoride in it. So Thank you. I'll speak to you later. Bye bye.